Let's hold on for 1 second. You know, I haven't led the pledge in like a 6
Sorry, it's spoken for.
months.
Okay, I would like to call the Manlius Town Board meeting for September 28th, 2022 to order at 6:31 p.m. Just as a reminder, our meetings are both in person and virtual. We've run Zoom here. We're streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and our website. Instructions to join via Zoom are on the top of our agenda for anyone who's interested in participating that way. As a note, we do have Councilor Italiano, who's remoting in under our video conferencing law, covered by one of the circumstances to allow it to happen. So we do have a special guest here tonight, Juliana Hall, if you'd be so kind as to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so as per usual, we have open podium at the top of our meeting. This is for folks that want to come speak to the board about whatever topic they'd like to. We allot everybody 3 to 5 minutes to come speak. I know we have one person signed up, so if you'd like to come to the podium and just share your name. Oh, no, sorry about that.
My name is Jim Bresnahan. I've lived in the village of Manlius for 42 years. I was pastor of Good Shepherd Lutheran Church for, I can't tell you how many years. But thank you for the opportunity to address you. Competition ignored, revenue overstated. I'm part of a citizens group. For months, we've been poring over the Onondaga County Aquarium feasibility study, even after the vote was taken. On the basis of our study, our Onondaga legislature narrowly approved moving forward with the aquarium project. Since the legislature must vote again on one or more matters before construction begins, there remains opportunity to bring to public attention what the study ignored. A member of our group testified here back in August. He told how the study ignored major aquariums that are Inner Harbor's competitors. The study addressed only the aquariums, rather, at Niagara Falls, Norwood, and Mystic. Not addressed was the Ripley Museum in Toronto, which draws people from a wide area that includes Ottawa. Neither was there consideration of the Coney Island Museum of New York City and its huge market area. Why were they ignored? Our review of the feasibility study of the tourist market showed us that its estimates were wildly unrealistic, given that the 2 aquariums that the study ignored represent 80% of the tourist market. The study's tourist market projection errors doomed the proposed Inner Harbor aquarium. The study also failed to recognize mall-based aquariums, like the one in Rotterdam, outside Albany, housed in a 585,000 square foot shopping mall containing movies, restaurants, entertainment, and a bowling alley. In 2022, this Via Aquarium website states, explore over 25,000 square feet of oceanic treasure as you and your family embark on an exciting self-guided tour, visiting over 2,000 creatures of the sea. A 1 or 2 hour visit, one reviewer said. Given how the faulty feasibility study ignored both major and minor competitors, and given the ever-changing state of destiny, why would we not think to pull the plug or rescale, or even to imagine how a modest aquarium at Destiny would be a double attraction, each element supporting the other. Whatever, the study was flawed, its figures were wrong, and the people will pay the price for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone else in person who'd like to speak at open podium? Do we have anyone joining us remotely who would like to speak at open podium? If so, please raise your hand using the raise hand function. Okay, seeing no one else for open podium, we'll move on. I'd like to welcome up County Legislator Mark Olson to give us the County Legislature update.
Thank you all. Is it okay if I just move so I can see the screen? I'm just gonna
Oh, yeah, no worries.
run this so that I can.
Just
in your voice at the.
I don't think you'll have any problem projecting for the folks at home.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the board and their time. One of the things that I talked about when I became a county legislator was that I wanted to update the boards. I have spoken in front of the Village of Fayetteville board, town board tonight, and then I'm going to the Village of Manila at their next meeting. So I have a presentation done that kind of gives an overview of what we're working on at the county legislature. I did hear your concerns, sir, and we are going to be having a forum. I talked to Dr. Desiato today, and we're going to be having a forum in October, probably the third week in ESM schools. And actually, I'm going to be inviting state, county, town, and village officials to be with me on the board, because I think it should be important that all officials listen to not only concerns of an aquarium, but there's a lot of things that we have in common that we work with. So I'm ready for the next slide. So we're right in the middle of our budget season. And when we talk about budgets, and I know you guys are starting yours, and I'm not even sure what the total of the budget is for the town, but the county's is 1.4 billion. This is my budget book, 287 pages, and a capital plan that is 400 pages or 300 pages. So it is very interesting. It's been a great process to learn about what the county does and all the departments. I'm on the Ways and Means Committee, so we're really working through this process right now, going through. Right now, and I didn't put it in here because we're not done with our budget process. We're in the middle of Ways and Means. There is a 11% decrease budgeted, and all departments are fully funded at what they asked for as far as staffing. Mr. Nicholson, I know you've asked me about social services. One of my questions at it was, in the budget right now, there's 52 vacant positions in social services, not because they're unfunded, they're vacant because they can't find people to do that work. And I asked the question, if you had those 52 people, do you need more? And they said, yes, we put 12 in our budget, and if those, and that is funded in this thing. So at the end of the year, social services will be funded. I had a call with the county 911 commissioner today. They have 53 open positions, all funded, but we're having the same issue that a lot of people in the real world are having. We just cannot get people to fill these positions. Mental health, probation, sheriffs, custody, 911, all these positions, there's over 300 positions that are open right now at the county level. If those positions get filled that are all funded, we are above 2019 staffing levels. So I know that was a big question about people were asking me what is going on. So really, we are not cutting staff. We're trying to get people, and thank you very much for my day started with the counselor, and it's going to end with you guys. But one of our conversations was, we want help from the state to give us a one-time civil service waiver. COVID just completely took away the ability to test. Now the tests are coming, but we're not getting people to take the test, or as many as we used to. So, and it doesn't just affect the county. The fire department's affected, the police department's affected, the sheriff's department. Every department that uses civil service is affected, and it's a really big thing for us not to be able to have this labor. The DOT is down 36 plow drivers, and you're going to see that. We're going to need help from towns, villages, and anybody that can help us get this work done this winter. And we're due for a bad winter. But I wanted to let everybody know that we are trying to, and we're asking if this can be done. We hope it can be done because this is a COVID and a 100-year pandemic. Right now, I'm a member of the Ways and Means Committee. We're reviewing the budget. We've heard from most of the departments. And one of the things that I heard loud and clear during the campaign was meetings during the day don't work. So I pushed, and we were having a meeting at night on October 6th at 6 p.m. for our budget. So people can get there at night and they can talk and they can let us know their concerns. Anybody that wants to read this, I will be more than glad to share it with you. It's very, very interesting. It's done in such a way that I think it's easy to read, but it's also got a lot of information because each department gives a synopsis of what they're trying to do and what they want to get accomplished in their goals. But the budget process won't be done. We won't vote on it until October 11th. So we're still going through tomorrow's Ways and Means. We do our report, and then we have to listen to the constituents on the 6th, and then we make a final decision on the budget. Here's some things that are in the budget that I think are very important. Workforce development grants of $2.5 million. We are trying to find universities, colleges, people that can help us create jobs for the future, whether that's at OCC, Lemoyne, ESF, SU. We're putting money in there to help these institutions find the people that can do that. Main Street grants, the village of Fayetteville, Manlius, and Manoa, the towns are all eligible for these grants, and that is funded through the sales tax that we lost back in 2010. So each municipality in Onondaga County will be eligible for a Main Street grant. I will tell you that I asked for $250,000 for the town of Manlius for the sidewalk to be up. That is part of the Main Street. So that will be given to the town of Manlius. There's $250,000 that attached to the village of Fayetteville sidewalk system to Twin Ponds. I think, did I get it right? Twin Shores.
So
Across from Town Center.
that's so there, for everyone who's watching, that's along North Burdick Street coming out of the village.
So towards Erie Canal.
Yes.
Yes, it'll be the same structure that we did for in front of the Craftsman Inn. So it will hook to the village's system, we will maintain it, we will plow it. The one thing I know there's been a concern about the length of the term, we're gonna get that extended so that we don't have that issue. Because, listen, we're in it together, we're gonna be supporting each other.
So how far will that sidewalk go? Will it connect all
Right
the
up
way to the Erie Canal?
No, it'll go right up to the light, is what the developer had asked.
Which is pretty much around the corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Up to the lake, that's pretty good, yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
So,
There's a crosswalk.
and that's the amount that the developer said it would cost. Obviously, we would work through our county purchasing program, the town and the village, maybe. We did a lot of the work on the other one and it saved us money, so
Yeah.
maybe we could get, if we could do it ourselves, we might be able to, depending on what happens. Go farther with that 250,000.
I know that a lot of our, on that side of the town had expressed an interest in being able to access town center. So it seemed like if it went that far, why wouldn't it go all the way? I could see that pushback coming from
But
that
once we
side of
get
town.
that built.
Well, yeah, we can get it built now and then we can find.
Right,
we can always
We
look
can
at it.
respond to that, but if we're doing it and we could go that much further, I know it's probably further than I'm thinking, but I know that
The
that.
request of the board at our
Hey.
meetings was to do what I did, so.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
The
that.
light,
thank you.
just why don't you highlight where the light is?
Light is gonna be all the way up towards the meadow, between, I
yes,
call it the
yeah.
cruise ship and the.
Yeah,
and
not the next light
Oh,
up.
no,
No,
thanks.
all the way.
Oh,
Going
no.
all.
It's most of the way.
That's
Listen,
No.
it's a step in the right
Right,
direction.
see, that's what I'm saying,
You gotta
yeah.
go to Erie Canal and connect.
So,
Where the sidewalk ends, it's with Silverstein, but like, we'll get there.
so what I will say is that $250,000, we can ask for more, but if we work with the town highway, the village,
Yeah.
we can extend that,
Okay.
and we can work together.
So we connect Erie
Yeah,
Canal.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, trust me, we know, build it, they will come. The Shape Up is an initiative to help seniors, and you're gonna see more on the seniors, but we're trying to help seniors. We know that it's gonna be a tough winter. We know it's been tough with the inflation. We know that the rising costs have put a pinch on seniors in our community, so we want to put some money in there to help with renovations and repairs. The lead programming, this is a little different. We talked about, and I know that was one of the big things that people had, what about poverty, what about lead? Between this 5 million and the 5 million that we put in this year, plus the city, we're at $18.7 million for lead remediation in the county and the city right now. It's the city that's running the program, but we're actually adding outreach and education, and then we're doing temporary housing assistance, and we're also gonna have a mobile testing lab as part of our program now. So we're gonna be going out and testing the kids and the people that are in these houses to make sure that we can take care of that and help them. And there's more money to come. We're gonna continue to keep putting money in there. The other thing that we're doing is we're working with OCC to get people trained, because all the money in the world isn't gonna do anything if we can't get it remediated. So the idea is to work with OCC to start these programs, and the Syracuse City Schools to start these programs to get more people and businesses started that can do this type of work. This work isn't going away. Heather and I talked this morning. 17 million isn't gonna touch it. It's gonna be 170 million. But we've gotta start, we've gotta continue, but if we don't have people doing the work that can do the work, we're not gonna get there. So this is a great start.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, like, with the Syracuse running the program, I've heard that if you sign up with Syracuse and then, or if you sign up with the county, but then with the city, then maybe sign up for the city program, and you start on in the back of the line all over again. So it's not one
Yeah, I haven't
program.
heard, it is, the city is running the program, yeah.
City's running the
The city,
program?
we're just supporting the program with funding and the mobile testing. We're trying to do the things that they don't do.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
The mental health in schools, this is another $5.5 million that we're putting in. We're seeing a lot of good success in the schools where the damage inflicted by the pandemic is much bigger than I think all of us know, or all of us will know, and we have to get this under control. We've talked to a lot of the different school districts in the county. This is one area where we are able to get counselors. We are able to hire people because they want to help the youth and they want to help the people in our community. We're having a hard time on the other side of the mental health issues, that we're not being able to recruit those people. But in schools, we're seeing some success in what we're doing. Youth initiatives, that's $2 million for the Dorsey Levens facility in Nedrow and $5 million for the Allen Foundation and the YMCA in the city. That's an initiative that the county executive put in. $1 million for senior initiatives, that's for senior centers. So the county is putting up $1 million to help all the senior centers. In Fayetteville, Manlius, and Manoa, we have the Golden Age Room, Fayetteville Senior Center, man. They're gonna be able to apply for $1 million worth of grants for something that they wanna do. We're very fortunate, the two of them have done very well through community development, but this may be an initiative where they can help, and I know they've been talking about, to the town board about transportation and other things. I think this will be a great way, maybe to help soften that.
Thank you.
Blue and green initiatives for $2.5 million. That's greenways, sideways, sidewalks, things like that, waterways, and that really is undefined at this time, but it's in there. Technology, the county is seeing, and I want to say thank you to Allison. Allison saw firsthand how, I'm not going to say backwards, but how we're not as technologically advanced at the county when it comes to some of these things. So they put $1 million in there to help with those technology upgrades to have some more of these things happen in our county departments. Erie 21 is a work development program. It's a partnership between Lemoyne and the city of Syracuse. We're trying to really work with the institutions to create more opportunities for our youth. Public safety initiative, this is one that I asked for. Not every community in Onondaga County did what the town of Manlius did. You guys funded the police department with your American Rescue money for the radios. The fire departments went out and got a grant, a safer grant for the radios. Not every community did this. So this $750,000 is to help those smaller police, fire, and EMS agencies try to buy these radios that they need to buy. The other nice thing is some of you know Captain Bliley or Chief Bliley from the town of Manlius Police Department, and then he was 911 communicator or 911 commissioner. Now he's with the sheriff's department. He got us a better price than state contract on radios through the end of the year. So if anybody needs, any municipality needs radios, they can jump onto that. So that $750,000 should help them. Part of the Challenger field is the one in DeWitt. They've talked about a $25 million complex in Liverpool, Electronics Parkway. This is part of that initiative to help. There may be some movement to have some of the fields put in DeWitt. So this money's there to help them do that study. The next one I thought was important was 81. 81 is going to have a huge impact in our community. And if anybody doesn't think so, I think they're making a huge mistake. This is going to be a big issue, not only for 41, but 81. So this $500,000 is to study outside of the city, all the suburbs and everything outside. And I think it's important. It's not to stop 81. We're not going to do that. But what are the impacts going to be? What's going to happen? You know, you and I have talked, John. What about mitigation money? What if they get it wrong? There's no money set aside if they get it wrong. And then we're going to have to live with those consequences for a long time or fix those consequences. So this $500,000 is going to study the outside.
We are interested in focusing on the Fremont area where there's a lot of truck traffic and looking for opportunities to adjust the Kirkville ramping system to where the Amazon warehouse is to accommodate more. Right now, the truck traffic is essentially waking people up and it's driving through residential neighborhoods.
We've
Like
been in,
fivefold or so 5 times.
yeah, and we've been in communications with the town of DeWitt. Ed McLenko over there has a proposal. We'll be looping you in shortly on that.
Right. You know, it's weird. If anybody knows me, it knows me well. I like small business. I like brick and mortar. I don't like, but the Amazon warehouse, when you think about it, it was scheduled for 1,000. It's at 2,500 and growing. But I was over at Paul Coffee the other day meeting with them, and they're right down the road. And I said, what impact has it been? And they said, it really hasn't been that bad because traffic's doing at different times. But for you, that other warehouse, yeah, I can see where that could be a problem, so.
And it's mostly just the rail yard entrance
Yeah,
is the issue.
That's one of the biggest problems we're seeing out there.
Cash for capital, that is $10 billion for the DOT. So instead of bonding for roads and road construction and projects, the Manoa Bridge is in part of that. So we're gonna paint the green bridge this summer, hopefully. That's in there. So instead of bonding for roads, they're going to pay cash. Renewable energy, forest management, deer management, and water chestnut is all part of the environment. The county has an office with Travis Glazier. I don't know if you guys remember, Travis is the one that we do the deer committee through. We made sure that we had $100,000. This has changed as of today. We put in another $30,000. We're going to work with Cornell Cooperative Extension to do a tick study. So we're going to be doing tick drags. We're going to be doing having Cornell help us with studies because what are the effects of Lyme? And when we started this program, it was to reduce the Lyme tick diseases, to help with the landscaping, the car deer accidents. Those three things have happened, but we can't quantify as much as we want to the Lyme disease numbers. And we need to know more about what the effects are on everybody. So those are all part of that.
Mark, what does the renewable energy, I mean, $150,000
We
compared
are,
to this overall budget's a pretty small percentage. What, and what does that in?
that's purchasing electric vehicles. We're going to start the process of purchasing some electric vehicles. And I will tell you that the Office of Environment is too small for the impact that we need it to be. And that's something that we're talking about because as I'm going through this, and if you look at the department, it's 3 pages and you're like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Trust me, because we don't get paid for the deer thing until like a year later. And he goes, I'm trying the best. I'm only one person. I'm like, stop. This is one of the more
Within
important
the-
aspects.
Like Travis needs more staff, like we need to expand that
Yes.
dramatically. I mean, with the Inflation Reduction Act and all of the money coming from the federal government, the county needs to be in a position to apply for and leverage and use those funds. And one person and that small sum of money for a couple EVs is simply, that falls dramatically short of where the county needs to be to take advantage of tons of money that's going to be coming down the pike. We're not well positioned at all to take advantage of what will become economic development, national security, they call it the Inflation Reduction Act for a reason. It's because the cost of energy around the world is what's driving inflation. This is economic development at the local level. It's just disappointingly small, unfortunately.
I don't think that's the total number. That's just, these are additions that we put in.
Yeah,
So-
I know, but still, when you're looking at like compared to, not that I'm like, I mean, I support a lot of these other initiatives. It's just such a small, yeah, it's just, there's so much to do
I
and there's so
wrote
much
it
the
down.
county could do.
I wrote it down.
Tell Ryan to call me.
Within, whether this is a response that you want to give in the moment, or if it's something we can talk about at your town hall, where's the conversation within the legislature or within the Ways and Means Committee about a climate strategy for the county? I think back in 2012, there was a whole climate plan that was developed that's on the shelf.
The Ways and Means right now is, and I can answer, I'll get some more information for you. The Ways and Means, we're looking at the budget of this.
Yeah.
We haven't really touched that climate right now. Being the chairman of public safety, my focus has been on the sheriffs and the 911 and diversity management. But we do need, and I have it down here, we do need to figure out what that plan is and what, and it's more than just Travis.
Yeah,
Travis is just.
Well, I think it is public safety. It's kind of the concept of having a paradigm shift to have climate be, have every department, every area of the county have its climate goals and understanding.
well, and this gives, like, whether or not climate change is what keeps you up at night, like, this is cost savings to the county. It's taxpayer dollars that could be saved. And I believe the county is in such a strong position to have that positive impact, but we have to be putting more of our budget toward that. And there's so many arguments to be made. Again, like, if climate change is not in your top 10, that's okay. I'm very Machiavellian about all of this. Like, it's economic development, it's national security, it's inflation, it's everything. So I would like to see more money outside of just electric vehicles. We have to be working all up and down the value chain. Like, it has to be, it's generation, right? Like, it's solar, it's wind, it's distribution, that's the grid.
And then it's the off taking, it's energy efficiency, it's electric vehicles and like any electrifying everything that the county is using. Every single one of those things, there's so much money coming from the federal government, but we have to be well positioned to take that money. And at this point, it doesn't feel like we are.
Could I make a suggestion to you about this? I see initiatives that we've been trying to make happen here within the comprehensive plan. So we've done our comprehensive planning, but in partnership and in tandem with our climate smart community goal setting. And so it's sort of woven together. And so if the county were to embark on some goals.
Well, we're writing our climate action plan with the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board,
Right.
with Amanda Mazzoni and Chris Carrick, alongside the comprehensive planning that will allow us to create a plan to reduce our carbon emissions, thereby creating taxpayer dollar savings and inherent returns on investment.
Let me jump in.
Yes,
And just say that, so that's happening. There are things in the city like the huge tree initiative and their carbon reduction, sequestration and reduction goals that they have. And so I think that you have at your fingertips a willing part of your district and a town that would be happy to do a roadshow with other towns and chat and with the county planning or will work in partnership to help find some anchor communities across the county that can take any fear or question out of embarking on a comprehensive plan update with this kind of focus. Or, hey, if we know we're going to do a tree inventory within the town and the city's doing what they're doing, picking up other communities around the way who are ready to do that, so that it's sort of the county gets more buy-in and it isn't just however convincing you and other legislators are with some county folks, but really where the towns are willing to put their own skin in the game.
well, coming down from the state, there's been funding for initiatives for municipalities for a few years. And the point of doing that was because municipalities could demonstrate that these technologies worked. So Elaine worked extremely hard to get grants for charging stations for the town. We have them, we just have to get them installed. And there was a grant from the DEC. They've funded projects for renewable energy, for solar, for energy efficiencies, for heat pumps and geothermal. And the town of Manlius is an example. Like, we have proven not just that these technologies work, but that they save money. They save money, there are returns on investment. So,
And the villages have done their commitments.
I was gonna say, we're not-
Yeah, no,
Right.
we're
I hope you
strong.
guys understand that the
Yeah.
village was one of the leaders.
totally.
Yeah.
And Noah, I mean,
Yeah,
Bill
so
Brazil,
we're
like,
hitting it,
yeah.
I will say at WEP, and I'm not gonna dive into WEP, but WEP is doing a lot of this with the dryer
yeah.
project that we're doing, with the methane recovery that we're doing, with all the things that we're doing there. And we gotta figure out how to quantify that number, because we're not gonna be hauling as much.
The county,
We're gonna
it
be
does
drying
have
it and
case
reusing
now
that.
too.
We're gonna be taking the methane, we're gonna be reusing that. We're trying to take that, and WEP is a big user of energy. Isn't it one of the number one? We just transferred $5 million from contingency to help cover the increase. in-
Would you be able to send us some more? I mean, I know that we're talking about we're looking at renewable energy and seeing $150,000. Can you send some more details on how much money is going toward environmental and
I'll have
climate
Travis.
action?
And-
Yeah, have Travis call me.
One thing that's not on here, and I think I talked to Sarah about it, we've already put $100,000 away for flood mitigation studies. We are putting we did it today, we're doing another $100,000 to help towns and villages, because I've told you, John, many times, I'm here on Mechanic Street every time it rains, and I have my 4 or 5 that I go to, and we talked about the thing today. It's really the stormwater, the way these storms are happening, we've got to figure out.
Is there a plan for the county to do a stormwater study
No,
for the
we're gonna give
county?
it to the municipalities to let that.
'Cause we've got-
Which is great, because we are looking at that for our
And you
person.
guys know your municipalities much better
Yeah.
than they do. And the mapping through
Okay.
our stormwater and speedies, you guys know the mapping, you have all that information. So we want to work with the people and give you the money to get the project.
That's awesome.
I mean, it works for us with the way the water flows through our town.
Yes.
So I guess that makes sense for us.
I got a couple other things that you mentioned.
Okay.
Would you care to mention the EMS study and the clear tech lab?
Yes, so right now I am asking for $250,000 to study EMS in the county. The county has, it's very convoluted the way it is, that we don't have jurisdiction, but we have an Office of Emergency Management that oversees fire, EMS, and emergency planning. So what we want to try to do is create this, an outside firm to look at the EMS agencies throughout. I will tell you, talking to Dan Ware, who's in charge of emergency management, the model that Fayetteville, Manlius, and Manoa are using is the model that they think is the most efficient. We've got career and volunteers working together. Is there some duplication? Yes. Is there some things that we can work on? Yes. But this study will help us do that. But the main driver of 32 ambulance calls a year is the city, and there's structural breakdown in the city, and then some of the other municipalities, Bridgeport, Chittango, DeWitt, and AMR and TLC are that agency that is in charge of those. Eves is an issue. So there's a lot of issues, and there's no one person in charge because Eves in charge of Eves, AMR is in charge of AMR. So this study is going to try to say, what is the best way to provide EMS service in Honolulu County? So that's what I'm asking for $250,000. We also put in $25,000, and that's not on here, but we just added it today for recruitment and retention for fire departments.
Oh, great.
And one of the things that I'm saying, we're not listening to the volunteers. We're saying here's $25,000 and here's what we think the problem is. Do you know what my tax break is for a volunteer firefighter in the village of Fayetteville is? Do you know what I get a year?
I think it was $700.
$3,000 off my assessment.
Which rate was raised by.
$21. Is that an incentive to have Mark Olson get out of bed at 2 o'clock at night? No. So, but is the duty program? Is it, are there college tuition reimbursements?
Yeah.
Is the $700? It's $1,200 now.
Okay.
So it's changed. So that is helping, but there's other things that I think that we're all doing. And we have the duty program at Fayetteville. Manlius is, Manoa is looking at it. So there's a lot of things that I think this study will help on the EMS side. And right behind it, we're gonna have to do fire. Because the one thing I will say, and I know it's a prod, a few of your, it's expensive, but we're not. Is anybody complaining about fire service to you guys? Other than, no. So, but there's other communities that are having problems, that can't get trucks out. When you're second due in Bridgeport, New York, that's a problem. Not for town of Manlius, but for Bridgeport and other communities. They need to realize how important it is, and this town board has always realized how important fire and EMS is, so I appreciate that. But we're gonna study that. Seniors. So we approved $200 stimulus checks to go to 27,000 seniors. It's anybody that's exemption, enhanced STAR exemption, and that will go to the seniors directly from the county in a form of a check, and that costs about $5.5 million. So I think it was important that we did that to help the seniors with the rising cost. I know some seniors said why, but this was the fairest way to do that for all the residents in the county.
Is that going to be ongoing, or is that a one?
It's a one-time right now, but that doesn't mean,
No.
depending on what the position of the county is. So we approved $1 million to help our veterans shape up their homes, whether it's energy efficiency programs with heating, air conditioning, windows, anything to help their home repairs up to $15,000. And if they stay in their house after 5 years, it's like that. So we're really trying to help the veterans, the seniors, and the people that are in our community that have done so much. And it was very interesting, John. I know a lot of people weren't at our meeting, but to hear what the veterans said at ESM about the exemption, that they didn't want it because they didn't want. I thought that was very interesting to hear. But this is countywide. So again, lead abatement. We talked a little bit about that. But the initiatives are really working with the city. We're going to do the mobile testing and we're going to do the other things, but we really want to work with the city and try to get more people trained so that we can get more houses. This problem's not going to go away unless we solve it. So next. And so we did approve a new agreement that gives a 3 or 4% increase over the cost for the next 2 years. So we can budget, you guys can budget for it. But I will tell you that they may need help this year. Marty Voss, who grew up in this community, was very straightforward with us and said it's going to be a tough year. They've had a lot of problems. They just can't. It takes 6 months to train them. We have people in the room that do it. It's not you just put them in the truck and say go. There's a lot of things. So they're working on trying to get retirees to come back and some other things, but they're having a hard time getting people to work. Next. OCC. So every number you see here, 50% of that is going to be offset by the state. But we had to approve the purchase, then the state reimburses us. But we're really looking at OCC to help us with the workforce challenges that we're having in the county, whether that's the health expansion for nursing. Where Coyne Hall is where all the fire, police, and EMS agencies are trained. The workforce lab at OCC for 2.7 million, that's so that we can work on if White Plains happens, if Amazon continues to do what they're doing, or other big projects in the county. We want to have a workforce lab. And then the 10.2 million is all about energy efficiency. And I made sure that, are these going to be nice?
You know I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, so all those projects, and we need to do a better job. One of the discussions and one of the things that I disagreed on with my fellow counterparts was, I think we should be spending more money on needs versus wants. And needs are, can we take our utility bills down? Can we do those energy efficient things? And those are things that I think we need to look at.
Well, and there are, even in terms of like the veterans and the monies that were available for their houses and the improvements, like if you're looking at their heating and cooling, like there are heat pumps available. It works just like your fridge. Like you're not pumping cold air into your fridge. You're pulling hot air out. That's why it feels like, that's why the hot air is coming out the bottom. And there are grants from New York State that could help that it's more energy efficient, like it would save them more money in the long term. So like, I'm curious, like, are these dollars, is this funding going to promote some of these newer technologies that will benefit everyone in the long term? And if the same inquiry would be made with this 10.2 million, like, are we looking at newer technologies? It's not just like LED lights and insulation, but there's so much available.
And OCC presents this program to us. It's not something that we create.
Right.
We're just a funding mechanism for that, and the state approves the projects. But one of the things that we asked was, are they, 'cause everything we do at the village, and I always use the village, is what's the efficiency?
Yeah.
What is the payback? So we always think about that.
This kind of overview is very helpful. The slides, I think, are very clear and useful. We talked this morning about how I think it was it Core or was it Pyramid, that basically Destiny has gone ahead and or it was Core for Inner Harbor. There are some planning board level conversations happening about improvements. And so the thing that's so difficult for the public and for us is to follow the projects as they go along.
They need to make that, like you and I talked, that circle, and they need to make a chart with all those things that maybe I can do that.
Seriously, but I think also the idea of live links to things, one of the things that's I commend, Allison and John and everybody who's put together our thing is that on our agenda, you can click through and each of the things we're presenting in the conversation are accessible and they live on our site. And so the technology upgrades that you're talking about for the county, making sure that being able to click for yourself and follow the line and not just,
you'll see the slide.
Great, we'll make everything.
This is just something that they've done over the past, is $15,000 for volunteer fire departments to help with public education. We just approved that. And so again, I feel bad. We got a trailer in the town of Manlius that Fayetteville keeps, and we let Manoa and Manlius use it. So we already have it because we got a grant for that through Safer. But other communities don't. So this $15,000 helps with public education. So, and I'm coming to that slide. I know you guys know agricultural district 3. Not a lot of people do, but it got renewed at the county. The county has to renew that. We changed the general fund from 10% to 15%. I will be honest, I voted no. I thought it was too much. I think it should be 12.5% and then work our way up to it. Right now, we didn't tip into it. But if you look at the position, they wanted to do 15, and the vote was 9-8, I think. So we amended the rules, very similar to what you did with the new, the remote and all the things that we had to work on. And then we approved our 22 community block development grants. So the Village of Manoa, the Village of Fayetteville, and the Village of Manlius all received grants to help with their senior centers and sidewalk projects throughout the town. So, and that was, I think, $135,000 that we approved. And that has to go to, we're lucky and we're not, but in our area, it can only go in Fayetteville and Manlius to the senior centers, and in Manoa, it can go and do sidewalks, but there's parts of the community, that's the only things you could use it for. But other communities, Clay and North Syracuse and a few others, can pretty much do whatever they want to do with funds. So, and I know you were there, or you were there for part of it. And again, when I first got elected, I brought Allison down there. you guys were the forefront of this, and I think, so we have now approved up to $50,000 for live streaming our meetings. We're actually live streaming our committee meetings now on Facebook, but we want to get to a system that is sophisticated as the Boxcast and the other things with YouTube and Facebook and having a live stream. So
That's great.
that's all being done right now. We're working on that. It just got approved at our last Ways and Means. Originally, it was best free service. Well, the problem with best free services, like in our room right now, you can't hear the audience. Sometimes it's hard to see. So I said, let's do it right. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. And let's get it done properly. So that's what we're doing. So we put in $50,000. And if you do go to and you'll see the links at the end, everything is, I found it to be very interesting. Everything, when I get my agendas, everything is linked and is ready to go. And you just hit it, you have all the information. And if you sign up, they'll send you all the.
Yeah, that's
information.
happened too. That's been an
Yeah.
improvement. Thank you.
Next. Public safety, so I'm the chairperson of public safety, and some of the big things that we did, the county couldn't get a grant for the radios like we did for safer. So the sheriffs had to spend $4.6 million. Goes back to that Captain Bliley story. That is, so now we are replacing, it was gonna be a 2-year program, but with the supply chain issues and everything happening, I don't know why we did it, why we were gonna wait 2 years to replace the portables and then do the mobiles. So we're gonna do it all together. And actually the grant that they put together saved over $100 per portable, and we're buying better than state contract. So I want to say thank you to the sheriff's department. The emergency operations center and our town village mayors, when it's done, we're gonna have a meeting there. But this emergency operations center is in the downtown civic center right now. If anybody remembers the riots downtown, they couldn't get into the emergency operations center safely. We own the Army Depot Center off of Electronics Parkway. We were storing equipment in Jamesville. We were in Baldwinsville. We had it all throughout the county. Now, all the emergency operation equipment is going to be coming into one facility. And then we've actually asked for a training tower to be put there for all the volunteer fire departments to use. Right now, we go to Auburn, Oswego, or North Chidango, depending on what the training is that we need. It'd be nice to have something centrally located, owned by the county and operated by the county. Also, in the operations center will be training rooms for EMS classes, fire classes, and things like that. So we're going to have a centrally located training facility. Congressman Packo, it doesn't say that, but he got us $1 million grant through FEMA, and then the county put up the balance of it. Our mobile command center will be, instead of being parked at Jamesville Fire Department, will be there and be able to be used in case of an emergency. And when you say, and I know we're talking a little bit about climate, but if you look at what Florida's going through, it shows you how important emergency management is and how important it is to have it in a good facility. The justice oversight and the probation commissioners came in and talked, administrators. It's very interesting to hear what is going on. I don't know if a lot of people know that Jamesville is about 1/3 full right now, and the Justice Center downtown is over 2/3 full. Well, they're shuffling and they're trying to figure out the shuffle. They're 2 different union contracts. They're under one administration, but it's still done as 2 different things. We're trying to find a way to get this under one umbrella, one union contract, one administration. You know, doing this, they're both doing the exact same thing, just in different facilities and different things. So it's something that there will be some changes over the next few months or years, but we've got to start having that kind of thing. The Main Street program, we put $5 million in. We are trying to add it to 6. We're working on that. It's a negotiation right now. We put, I just want to show you just some of the projects. That's Charlie's in Manoa. Manoa got $900,000. The village of Manlius already has been approved for the 2023 for the Main Street program, and they're going to be getting money for their upgrades in the village. And then this is just a building right here in Limestone Plaza that was a facade grant, and Mrs. Bundy got $4,000. Today we presented a check to the Gage Foundation, $3,500 through the Main Street grant program. There's been a lot of good things, and one of the things that we're learning during this process is they want things like facade improvements and economic development projects, not so much infrastructure projects, but sidewalks are a good infrastructure project because it helps people with going to shops and going to the doctors and walking and things like that. The mural that's on the side of Freedom Espresso was a Main Street, part of the Main Street, and American Rescue kind of shared both of those funds.
The gentleman who did that project owned my house on Smith Street, and I bought it from him.
He
It's a
is,
small
he
town.
Mark Noble, yeah.
so I was
Everyone called
gonna,
it the Noble
Yeah.
House when I moved in.
I was gonna talk to you because I know you guys, the 1.7, you were looking for things. We spent $9,000 on that. The lighting, we got an estimate for the lighting was $10,000. It's more than the mural. So we're working on that right now. And
Is there an
this some
appetite?
pictures out of the I got to tap the Oktoberfest and
These are-
Albany's.
These are great. Quick question about the Main Street funding. Yes, I'm just, with my hat on, yes, as a representative for Gage, including Dr. Sally Rush Wagner, the painting that the house needed ended up being more expensive, and we had mentioned this in our meeting with the village, and really, I know that the foundation is so grateful to have that support. And because it's about a facade, you know, really important facade and historic asset. Speaking about that, the Main Street funding could go for public art projects.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting too.
It's meant to, like, we've already had Romano Chrysler reach out to us and say, we'd like one on our building.
Yeah.
And then you have other people seeing the facade improvements. In Manoa, one project across from Trappers too wasn't part of it. They saw what was happening and then they started. So that's our 5 million or 6 million. Then add the people, the residents and the businesses, that's another 5 million. So you're looking at 10 million of the economic development in our villages and the town. So the towns are, and it's gonna be one of these programs that if we get $8 billion in applications, we're gonna push, I know I am, because I know it works, to get $8 million for the funding, because the towns and the villages in Sarah, nice feel, I was off by 10 years, but we lost sales tax. And now I know the town of Manlius didn't take theirs, but we did. And since 2010, it's cost us 12 million plus inflation. We're at 16, 17 million dollars in lost sales tax that would have helped these infrastructure projects or these Main Street projects, or, you know, because somebody comes to us and says, well, I'm gonna move into your village and what can you do to help me? You can't, because we don't get any economic development. This helps supplement that and helps, you know, work on some of those projects.
If something's educational too, so if does it have to be for Main Street? Does it have to be an existing business or organization, or it can be something new? So if we wanted to do something that was like about, you know, wellness or something like that, would that, I mean, I guess
I
what are
think
the
as
limits?
long as it was community, we bought land between Brookside, Cashton and Brookside Lane. We bought 12 acres, and it's not really an economic development project, but it was for the betterment of the public.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a park.
So it's
someday,
almost like home, it's really it's sort of like ARPA,
Yes,
only extended beyond.
but this is to help with the sales tax that we lost. as
Yes,
villages.
understood.
So, but it's, you're seeing it in Manoa now, because, I mean, if you've never seen Charlie's before, Charlie's was an interesting, I've only been there once, it was an interesting, now it's beautiful, and now I know the other things in Manoa they're working on, it's very well done. And we've had some, the hair salon and the Bundy building, and Mark Bullis and part of the upgrades in Bull and Bear.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
that's
know,
great.
that's been it, all the signs you see that we weren't done, those stone signs were part of it, the sidewalk in front of Craftsman Inn is part of it, so it's all things to help it, you know, they want to see more economic development, because if you look at the $1.4 billion budget, sales taxes, anybody want to take a guess? Sarah, don't answer.
Sarah was the only person I had confidence in. Or Elaine, really.
It's almost $460 million.
So
Property
you're,
tax is 150, so, you know, and then the other things is about, so, you know, sales tax is a driver of a lot of things.
so you're saying like we lost sales tax since 2010?
You didn't, the town of Manlius never took it.
We,
No.
the county.
No, the county takes,
No.
the county and the city keep 100% of the
Okay.
sales tax now. It used to be that the share that, whatever was produced in the village of Fayetteville, Manlius, and Manoa,
Right,
their portion went back to that municipality.
right.
The problem with the agreement was it was guaranteed, and they should have never guaranteed it. So when it came up for renewal in 2010, I was on the Mayor's Association negotiating, and the county executive at the time said, that's it, you're getting nothing. And I was like, whoa, we can't lose everything. So they structured a VIP program that gave us back like a third of what we used to get. But it's
But
been,
it's competitive and you have to apply for a
no,
certain
everybody
program.
gets it, it was based on your population. You got your- you
So
got your
it's a
things.
new algorithm,
So
and
we
so
really-
Main Street is the balancing.
We renegotiated in 2020 up to 5 million. We were getting 8 million as a combined. Then we only got 4 million combined. Then we're now at 5 million. But then the Main Street, we sat down with the county executive and said, there's no incentive for any village or town to go and say to these developers, let's do this, because you're gonna get. And he came up with this Main Street program, and it's working, because it's private investment and it's public investment together.
Has the town gotten any of the Main Street
Have you
money?
applied?
We haven't, have we not
No,
applied?
You can't get money when you don't apply.
Right, so that was my question, have we applied? Because I know the
You're gonna
villages have
get,
done that.
you're gonna get an email, and I'll make sure that you know.
There used to be a thing on the website that was like, Main Street was like there, and it's sort of like, if you knew.
Yeah.
And so now that there's, an advocate and there's more administration behind it. And
Like we have to redo as part of our comprehensive plan, and looking at our zoning code. We're gonna have to hire someone to look at our zones, so that might be part. And I know it's not economic development, but it does eventually.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not
That's
like
good
pure economic development, but like economic development can be whatever you want it to be. If you can paint the picture.
Okay. And this is just our Facebook page, and there'll be more and more information on this. So, any questions that we haven't answered?
I forgot there was the rest of the meeting.
And motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a brief interruption. So if everybody takes a look, we've got a beautiful piece of art here by the door. So I'll just read a little something. So on May 1st, the United States observes Law Day to celebrate our legal system and the freedoms we enjoy. This year, the Division of Access to Justice invited high school students in New York State to participate in an art contest celebrating Law Day. A student from FM, Juliana Hall, was the winner of this contest titled Toward a More Perfect Union, the Constitution in Times of Change. Juliana's artwork is titled Be Fierce and Pierce. The bald eagle represents the U.S. Its talons are piercing the U.S. Constitution to show the power of change. Uncle Sam is smiling as he melts away with the old. He is happy and accepting of change. So we wanted to take an opportunity to formally recognize Juliana Hall. We have been very proud to display this in the lobby since September 1st. We also wanted to recognize your artistic talent. So thank you very much. What's that? Do we want to do a picture?
Tim, do you want to be in the picture?
No, I don't want to.
Yeah, no. All right, let's go.
All of them?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, okay. Oh, all of them? I thought it was just
We'll get it.
all of us.
Get in here. I took a couple. Thank you. I can't believe you didn't get in the picture.
No, but very, very cool.
Oh, yeah, and we were able to get a copy of it to screen share, so that will be in the live stream portion of the meeting. Okay, number 5 on the agenda. The public hearing for the residential multi-use district classification amendment.
We reading it, but are we waiving, are we doing seeker?
Yeah, we're gonna do seeker. So
What are we
at the last board meeting, Elaine did a very comprehensive review of this local law and the changes that were made to the RM district. The primary change has been to allow or make it clear that in the RM district, we're going to allow mixed use, meaning residential, some types of commercial, which have been changed. Allison, can you pull it up?
The law?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we at least have a sense of the audience has a sense of what we're doing. And there was also a provision in here to repeal, which was section 2 of the local law, repeal the residential transitional district. Because it's very similar, if not the same, to the one that we're talking about. So if you just kind of go down to the uses, Allison, that would be section 2. Those are the new uses that would be allowed in the RM zone. And then 3 is the what would be allowed with a special permit. But again, the purpose is we've had developers coming in saying we've got buildings that have been set aside only for offices. And there are 2-floor buildings, and this board has shown the initiative to try to create mixed-use walkable spaces in the town of Manlius. And this will allow that type of development in our town.
we really didn't have a district for that, so this district will allow, these amendments will allow that district to take place. The only thing I would ask the board to consider tonight is, Allison and I have talked about it, the residential transitional district. I don't know that I want to repeal that at this point. I think that I don't know the impacts of that because of the residents that live in the resident that already have that. So I'm going to give that a little bit of thought. So my suggestion that would be that we bifurcate that, take section 2 out. So we would amend the law to allow to remove that, keep it in our code for now, and then make a determination at a later date. Does anybody have any questions about the local law?
So like on here, we have all crossed out, but we need to cross out.
No, we're just going to, when the time comes.
Yeah.
We will make an amendment to eliminate section 2.
Section 2 completely.
Completely.
And we'll be bringing it back in the future.
Yes, exactly. So before we open the public hearing, I'd like to go through the State Environmental Quality Review Act review. As you know, this is an action that qualifies for seeker review. Part 1 has been filled out, and part 1 really just lists the local law as the action that we'll be taking. And there's we need to go through part 2. But before we do that, does somebody want to make a motion to declare ourselves the lead agency for purposes of local law 2012-22-9?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And for the record, we'll, for the minutes, let's identify this as an action. It's not type 1 or type 2 action, but an unlisted.
All opposed?
So I'm going to go through the. I believe that the answers to this are no or small impact may occur. If you disagree, please speak up, let me know. We think that this local law, which will again essentially allow for mixed use in what's already considered a commercial type district or a retail type district, but will also allow residential use in those districts. Okay. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
Yeah.
No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land?
Yeah.
In fact, it may reduce the intensity of use if residential.
Into residential.
Yeah. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of an existing community? In the RM, in town of Manlius, we only have 2 real sections of RM zoning, one along East Genesee Street and one along Casanova River. Will it impact an critical environmental area? The answer to that is no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonable, available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna?
No.
Will proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
And will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
So based on the no or small impacts that you've determined, I would recommend that the board issue a negative declaration, meaning that this local law will not have a significant environmental impact on the town of Bath.
So I would move to make a negative declaration.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
So we're in the position to waive the,
So I'll make a motion to waive the public reading.
The
We have
reading of the
The
public
public
Reading of
notice.
the
notice,
public
thank you.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the RM.
I'm
Really good tonight.
I will second.
Amending, oh,
second the motion to amend chapter 155 of the town code section 155-20 residential multiple use RM districts to allow for mixed use development.
Fantastic. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so the public hearing is open. Is anyone here in the room to comment on the RM zone change or update of RM zoning? Okay. Is anyone here virtually to make comments on this change to the RM zoning? If you are, please use the raise hand function. Okay, seeing,
I'll make a motion for the public hearing.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And do you know what number?
You are on number 9.
9. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve and adopt local law 2022-9, amending chapter 115 of the town code section 155 of the town code section 155-20, residential multiple use districts to allow for mixed use development as amended and outlined in the resolution prepared by the town code.
And the amendment would be the elimination of section 2, which is the repeal of residential transitional district.
I'll second. Alyssa can second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. I will say, special thanks to Councilor Denton, Councilor Bollinger. This was something, we know there's a zone change, zone overhaul coming, but this was something that we really wanted to do to be able to be as responsive as possible to what developers are looking to do here in the town. So, thank you. Okay, next up, we have the public hearing for the override of the property tax cap.
Oh,
Yeah.
No,
I
well,
was gonna wait for reading there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to waive the public
reading of the public.
reading of the public notice.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so before we open up the public hearing, so this is something that we have done historically for quite a while. The property tax cap is essentially, municipalities are charged with keeping their taxes to under a 2% increase. We always endeavor to do that. However, there is something of a formality that we do. We can find out after the budget has been passed and adopted and operated with that certain prices would increase and the overall increase in the budget will go over 2%, and that causes some pretty serious issues. You have to put money aside. It's very complicated. But what we have done is in the past is we will adopt a local law to override the tax cap in the case that we do end up going over it, while understanding that the town and the town board is endeavoring to keep to the tax cap. This is to really protect ourselves in the case that certain costs do inflate later in the future. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've waived the reading of the public notice.
We did that.
Yep, so would anybody like to open
So
up?
I would make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. We have anyone in the room who's here to comment on the overriding of the property tax cap?
Yes.
Will you come up? And if anyone is joining us via Zoom that would like to speak, please use the raise hand function.
My name is John Bauer, resident of the town. Kind of was brought to my attention. I'm not exactly sure what like the number would be that you'd be doing. This is to it's designed to go over the 2%.
It would allow us to go above the 2% should we need to. Yep.
My question was, does this have to be done each year, Or does it, or is it like?
It's because the state law,
Yeah, we do, it has been done every year.
yeah.
Okay, it hasn't been done every year.
Mhm.
I think this year is especially difficult for many of the taxpayers and across the state. I mean, especially here in Manlius, so we're talking about Manlius. We just had a school budget passed, that was a big increase. Houses across the county just got reassessed for what the market value is. I mean, there's never been a reassessment when the market's been tanked or anything, or it's never reflected that. I think the burden of the taxes is just, it's getting out of control. And I just wanted to point that out to the.
So what
members.
what I would invite you to do, I'm on the Budget and Finance Committee, so we will have hearings on the budget when we propose it. And so we will inform the public on what budget we're proposing, similarly to what Mr. Olson just demonstrated, like he just line by line.
Yeah,
So we will have that presentation and a public hearing. And so I think that would be really helpful for you if you were interested, and we'll certainly make those dates.
Yeah.
Because this is just pro forma to allow us, in the event that we need to go above 2%, to do that. But we would invite you to come and you can speak, that we will open it up for public feedback. And so you can see at that time exactly what we're proposing, because it might be the event that we don't need to go above the tax cap. But
right. It's just, I guess the thing I have a problem with is you'll have this before you even present the budget. It's not gonna come back around.
It's
to say,
it's
we
so
need
weird.
this.
I remember
Can you just-
sitting in
Yeah.
seats.
the first year.
Yeah.
So
It's
Go Tim.
this is the difficulty. The state requires the town to be within a property tax cap that's set by formula. So we use the term we use the number 2% because that's what Governor Cuomo, when he originally proposed it, used. But it's not really 2%. It is a formula that they work on, and every year the controller's office will tell us what it is. It happens to be this year, it is about 2%. But in the years previous to this year, I think, Ann knows it much better than I do.
Yeah.
2 years ago, it was like 0.9%. So the tax rate could not be higher than 2.9 or 0.9% without the town overriding that tax cap. The problem is when we're putting together a budget, there are many things that, and we heard Mayor Olson talk about them. There are many things that this town and no town controls. The costs of special districts, for instance, which are considered under the property tax cap. We don't know what those numbers are going to be.
Can you give an example?
Well,
of a
so
special
for
district?
example, we have 3 or 4 fire protection districts. We've received numbers from 2 of the departments, and we have not received numbers from 2 of the other departments.
So we have to factor that in. And that means that if those, we can't influence those
well over
numbers.
2% already.
Yeah, so
For each of
these fire districts come to us with the number. That number ratchets up what we have to raise taxes by, not for everyone in the town, but for those districts. And that pushes us above 2% or whatever that formula is. We have other unfunded mandates like paying for healthcare for employees in the town, for pension payments for retirees.
Which, I mean, we're receiving those numbers constantly at this point.
So there could be a village person whose tax rate is gonna be 2.4%, let's just say, for example. And if we hadn't passed this law tonight, we could be penalized by the
So
state. for
what might
having-
happen in the future is if the town doesn't pass the property tax cap override, probably 2 or 3 years from now, the controller's office would start doing the analysis of how much the property tax actually increased in the town of Manlius. And if it were over the 2% for 2023, so if they started doing the evaluation in 2024, we wouldn't know whether we were over that property tax cap because of some of these mandated costs. And if we were over that property tax cap, then they can assess a penalty against the town. And they could require you in the next year to set aside the amount of money that you have gone over the property tax cap. And you would have to apply that to that year. And then in addition, you'd have to pay the penalty for that and then budget for that.
And
And-
be under again.
Yeah.
And the under again.
So, and then you'd have that same problem in 2023.
And to meet, like, if we were to get all of these numbers from all these special districts and the unfunded mandates, and we had not passed this, and we were attempting to stay below that, we would have to cut the police department budget.
Something.
We'd have to cut the highway department, and those are our, I mean, like, what are we gonna go to the tax department? Like, what are we gonna take from $100,000 budget? Like, we don't want to cut services to the town. Like, we're not working with like tons of money. It's like, we get down to the nth degree with where we're trying to find pennies to get as close as we can to that tax cap. This allows us the flexibility to avoid those penalties, to avoid incurring additional costs down the road.
It's
Well-
not about actually budgeting at that
Yeah.
point. This law is not about our budgeting. Our goal is always to be below that number.
And you can come back when we present the budget and give all of your feedback about where you think we should
And
be
there's
spending money.
also, we had 2 budget workshops with all of our department heads where they walk through their budget. We've asked questions and we understand where their budget, how those budgets are calculated. So if you're interested in learning more about how that budget is composed, the budget workshops are available on YouTube and Facebook.
But also Elaine's amazing presentation from last year, because we've been struggling
Well,
with
she'll do
this.
that again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we've been struggling with this before we were in office. We were like, what the heck? How can I actually, because you can just look at one slice and it looks crazy, but we have to synthesize everything. And Elaine has done a really great job of doing, well, there's one last year, she'll do another one that talks about what's what. The school taxes, no doubt, create a huge, overall
It's
burden.
insane. I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
But also things.
But that's your school district. Like, that's what's coming up right now. The town collects that, but that's the school
Oh,
district.
I realize.
Oh, no.
where
Yeah.
it's all going.
So, and I think,
I get
so
that. It's
we're
just
trying to see how to actually
everything
be
together.
more,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
we get into our
Well, I
fiefdoms
just,
too.
Ann had something to
I
say.
was just gonna say, if you'd like to stop at town hall anytime, give me a call, I can go over what builds the budget, I can use prior years, you can see where we fell in the tax cap. Within, without, with the districts, it's all laid out in spreadsheets over the years, it might be helpful, because I think a lot of the confusion is understanding what those parameters are, how that affects the budget, how that affects the main town funds, the 4 main town funds, and then those special districts. Because generally, the town funds, AB, DA, DB, which is your town, general town fund, your highway funds are the D, and the B is your planning and development office. Those funds are generally under the tax cap. So that's what is misleading.
Yeah.
And then those special districts get added in. So that's something I know that the town supervisors are approaching the state to see if they can get those pulled out of that figure, because your town taxes would be under that.
It's just a
Those
special
districts affect that in
district.
such a way. But if you want to stop by,
Yeah.
I can show you.
And in this, when you pay
You
your
see it on
bill,
paper, it's easier.
spelled out. When you pay your bill in the spring, like, that's, like, the town is just a piece, and this is what Elaine's presentation will show, like, it's like, there's all these other elements of it, like, the town just gets such a small portion, and as Ann explained, like, the town, like, if you don't live in a village, and if you're not in a special district, your taxes are below the tax cap. Just, we have to include the fire districts, we have to include the water districts in the calculation of the tax cap. It's I'm on the budget and finance committee, Ann has to explain this to me again every single year. It's very.
Can I say something too, that I really appreciate that you're bringing this up, because I feel like
We've been talking about this
people,
one.
I know, but honestly,
We're
you're
just
like,
also-
if I'm at that podium, I'm like, well, how do I, as a taxpayer in this community, depending on where I live, how do I advocate for all these entities to come together and have a goal of reducing the burden? We know that healthcare costs are extremely important to what it costs us to operate the town still. So healthcare costs, we're trying to think about energy efficiency in a way of like slicing down, our regular costs, not our people costs though, because we're incredibly lean as it is. But also, honestly, I think we have to talk about, the court system, we have village courts and a town court. So a new system that's consolidated, even if it takes time for the county to catch up, something like that could really make a difference. It's an example.
Like government efficiencies to cut costs.
Yeah.
And that's
That
where
kind of stuff really make a
we're
difference.
inviting you. We will have, a public hearing about the budget. And that's where we'll have that budget available, and nothing would be better than if residents would take a look at that budget line by line and see where we're spending money, where there's room for a conversation, have that conversation, and we would love to
Almost
examine that.
no one comes. I don't know if we've ever had anyone come.
I've come to, over the years I've lived here, I think I moved Manlius 2008. I've only come to a couple things where there was something
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
I haven't been lately. The size of this town, and we've got 7 people here.
35,000 people.
So one thing to note too, and this is for everybody who might be watching, you can go to our website, townofmanlius.org. You can sign up to receive every agenda from every board. And what we suggest is that's exactly what.
Night,
Yeah,
This one
yeah.
caught my eye. It's like,
Well, that's what I tell everybody. You're gonna get, 26 agendas a year? 25 of them are gonna be completely irrelevant to you. Gonna be something in there.
Well,
everyone's-
Relevant, but interesting.
and this is really where we're trying to increase. That's why we're looking at doing a newsletter to tell people when those things, trying to up our communication strategy through social media and through the website and through in any way we can. And thank you for coming tonight and sharing your comments. And I hope we see you again for the budget.
I think
hearing.
you can tell how nerdy we all are on the budget. As
And we
enthusiastically
also
as we
have
are
a public comment feature, so for anybody
Yeah.
listening
Yeah.
to this later, you
Yeah.
can write a note.
As you're
and
talking
we
to your
will all get it.
neighbors, your colleagues, we really want to get somewhere on this.
Oh, so there's 2 ways to get to us.
What spurred me on this whole subject was one of the apps I have on my phone. called
Yeah.
Neighborhood or
Next
Neighborhood.
door.
Next door.
Yeah,
Um,
and we saw
We
a
should use
post
Next
on there
Door.
about that.
Yeah.
what's that?
We saw that there was a post on the tax cap that was posted on there, yeah.
So that's.
I'm glad to hear that
We have an account now.
spurred you to come tonight, but I think, like Elaine has done this presentation where she's created like pie charts and bar graphs, and she's done the presentation, and I don't know if there were even 10 people who paid
I guess
attention.
we have to put it on next.
So
Yeah, we'll have to-
we'll go with
If
you tell everyone on Nextdoor to come
No,
and
Well, thank you very much.
thank you for coming.
And if
Yeah,
you go to the town website.
Budget workshops were September 7th and September 14th, if you want to go and watch those.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you so much.
So we are gonna go to,
Likely, I don't know.
Well, I just wanted to.
Elaine has
continue.
something she wants to.
I just
Okay,
wanted to
great.
say too, if you go to the website, go under government, there's a town budget page, and that does have last year's presentation. The slides are right on here, so you can look through that presentation to prepare for this year's. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to.
And so good ways to comment on this, we have on the website, under forums, the public comment form, you can send in any public comment. And you can make it relevant to a public hearing or an agenda or anything like that. And then we also have the email address townboard@townofmanlius.org. And that goes to the entire board as well as the town.
Thank you for being in conversation with us too, and not just telling us how terrible we are. We really appreciate it.
Hopefully that was,
Which is your right if you wanted to.
Like, I know it's a lot of information, but did that make sense?
It's- Right now, I have to kind of
Yeah.
do what you guys gave me homework.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else here to make a comment on the property tax override? Is there anybody here in attendance virtually? Or did we receive any comments? Okay,
I do want to just mention the fact that we are amending the law,
Oh, that we did last year?
yeah, that we did last year. In the past, like before 2019, We actually repeal the law and then pass a new law every year. As I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking that's probably not the best thing to do, because once you repeal the override, then the controller's office can come back and say, well, you didn't do the override and
Right.
you're over 2%, and therefore
Yeah, we
we're
should
going to penalize
need
it.
that for
So,
last year.
so
So it's a
in
brand new one.
2019, I stopped repealing and I just started amending it. So it gives you a record of the years that the override actually took place. And as you can see, this year, we just added the words and 2023. So that's why we did that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question to that?
Yes.
So when you repeal that law, and I don't mean to drag this out, but when you repeal that law, as far as like the state comptrollers, then that law has not happened.
Yes.
That, as far as they're concerned, it hasn't.
Yeah,
That
so
law-
I would argue that, I would argue that it did happen, because we have a local law that has been filed with the Secretary.
So like common sense at the state comptroller's level, and what you just did and what happened in this given year is just thrown out the window.
Well, he's saying that since 2019, we haven't repealed it.
So.
Or just
you're-
amending a law.
But you're going to stop repealing it.
No.
We
With-
stopped repealing it in
before.
2019.
You stop repealing it in 2019,
Yeah.
because when you do repeal it,
My concern was that the controller's office would look back and say, well, you don't have a law from 2018 that.
because it
because-
basically erases.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's-
But then, like, you do have the records from the town
We-
clerk
we-
for
right.
the minutes, you have all that record
Right.
still.
But you'll have to go through.
But
But you have to go
But-
through that.
Hours.
But by now, I mean, we're past 2000,
Right.
at the controller's office was going to question us in 2018, that would have happened by
So we're safe.
So we're good.
now. All right, we're set.
Taxes have been taken in and used.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah.
We,
That's great.
that's,
We love
What
when
we're
people want to
endeavoring
talk
to
to
do.
us. We like talk about the budget and we're like, town of Manlius residents, and then we're like turning on an empty room. So we appreciate it.
So thank you for representing all residents.
Oh, well, it is.
so, seeing no further comments,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we have a prepared motion for the property tax cap, and we would like to make that.
Everybody wants to be the one that
I will
actually
make the
proposes.
motion to
Okay.
approve and adopt local law 10. Wait, no, we're not.
2210.
It is 10.
2210, overriding the property tax cap in the town of Manlius for fiscal year 2023 as outlined in the resolution prepared by the town attorney.
I miss the old way we used to do
No,
that.
this is really good.
Nelson doesn't.
Every second.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But like when we would just make up words, you don't miss
Okay,
that?
so that was unanimous vote. We need a 60% vote on that, so that is
Okay.
passed.
So anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries with a majority.
No, because it's a lot harder for.
No, I'm just saying, like, it was more fun before. I'm not saying it was easier.
Fun free. Okay, so next up, we have to set a date for public hearing for the Fayetteville fire contract.
Does this require public notice?
10-day public notice.
So I'd like to make a motion to set the date for the public hearing for the Fayetteville fire contract with public notice. And the date would be.
Okay, it's right here. Do
You gotta read the paragraph that has
Make
been
it, to
drafted.
set the date for public hearing in the matter of 2023 Fayetteville Fire Protection and Emergency Ambulance Service Contract for October 12th at 6:35 PM as outlined in the resolution prepared by the attorney for the town.
It was very eloquent.
I'll
there.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Can I do the next one? I'm gonna read it.
Feel free.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to set a date for a public hearing in the matter of the 2023 Manlius Fire Protection and Emergency Ambulance Service Contract for October 12th, 2022 at 6:35 PM as outlined in the resolution prepared by the attorney for the town, Tim Patesky.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we will set the date for our next work session.
Ooh, I need to do this one.
Go for it.
I'd like to make a motion to set a date for a town board work session on October 12th at 5 PM to discuss the cannabis zoning and regulations and other town business. We've been working really hard on that one.
That's second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So next up, we have to file the tentative budget with the town clerk. I want to. It is presented. And I would like to.
No, I was just gonna say that actually, the whole purpose of this would be that you would submit it to me and that I would actually formally distribute it to all of you at the meeting. That is required. I give it to you, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've got digital copies, so that'll get
Yes,
this.
yeah.
And I did want to say specifically, thank you to town manager and for tremendous amount of work that goes into this tentative budget. This was my first time in this seat, and as I think I said a few times, I don't want to get in the way. I'm here to learn. I'm here to do my responsibility, and just a massive, massive thanks to the town manager.
Thank you.
Next up, highway. Sarah, I think you've got some stuff for us.
So I would like to draw your attention to the architectural engineering service proposal for the town of Manlius Highway Garage. This is to examine the feasibility of an addition on the side of the garage that would update the garage facilities. And I would like to ask authority for the supervisor to sign this agreement with Shop for Architects.
So how do we, because with budget, how does that work?
So with budget, how this works is we requested ARPA money for it,
Yeah.
but should that not become available, the highway department could.
Fund it, okay. So no matter what, it would come from,
No. Yeah. There may or may not be ARPA revenue offset.
Okay. And then for like getting the proposal and everything, this is a professional service.
Professional services does not require a bid. And it's under the threshold for.
Okay. That's all I wanted to check.
Okay, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And then how we pay for it happens to be the very next slide. How convenient. So,
A garage sale.
I
if you
see
will.
how that works.
Oh my God, Heather. That was a
So
good one.
I would like to make a motion to accept the, every year, the town of Manlius declares certain items to be no longer needed and puts surplus and puts them out to auction. And we have auctioned three vehicles, a 2011 Ford, a 2014 Ford, and a 2011 Ford big truck. And the highway superintendent has recommended that we go ahead and accept this sale.
So are we surplusing property tonight, or are
We
we
already-
accept, we already did that, so we're just.
Accepting the auction
results.
I see.
So I would
Results, I mean.
like to make a motion to accept the auction results on behalf of.
Do you want to say what the total number is?
We didn't know if those were final numbers,
Yeah,
so.
these are 17. About 25,000.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. So next up, Town Clerk Weber has a recommendation from the Zoning Board of Appeals to.
Yes, as you can see, I distributed to everybody, and it's also attached to the agenda. The zoning board of appeals has issued a recommendation to you. I worked with the zoning board of appeals clerk, Debbie Witzel, who also happens to be my deputy clerk. And we thought that we would just formalize this so that it was noted in the record that this was sent to you and that you received it. There's no action required, but we just thought that that would be very helpful.
And so the recommendation really was to examine moving where the current proposed site for the landfill solar project, to move it as far to the, I believe, west.
East toward,
Oh,
no, west, I'm sorry.
yeah, towards the array in the town of DeWitt. And so I've received the recommendation. I'll be talking with the folks that are doing that project and see if that's something that they may be able to allow for. Thank you.
You also have a proposed motion in front of you. We have received a request to waive the 30-day requirement for the liquor license for Ellie's. We have done, I think everyone in here has done this before.
Yeah.
And so if you have any questions or anything like that, but otherwise I just asked.
So this is, pretty normal. When a new establishment's opening up, we get an option to, sign a waiver so that they can move along a little faster. And this one in particular is for Tully's to be opened up at Town Center.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town clerk to waive the 30-day requirement for the liquor license application made by Kelly's Manlius Inc. located at 520 Town Center Drive.
All in favor? Aye.
Love a
Opposed?
local franchise.
Motion carries. Okay, so next up, we've got a comprehensive planning committee update.
Do you want to do the whereas? Or do you want
Sure.
to report?
Well, do you want to give us a little?
Well,
okay.
maybe do this first.
Fair enough.
Yeah, why don't I just do I'm gonna do the update and then Sarah, you do the gift card.
I have to do the gift card first,
Oh, we do.
because we
Okay.
can't announce it until.
Okay, do the gift card first.
Makes sense.
So I
So-
don't have, she's going
So whereas the town of Manlius is requesting its residents to fill out a survey to get their thoughts and comments on the proposed comprehensive plan with sustainability elements, whereas as a way to encourage our residents to fill out the survey, the town desires to provide an opportunity for nominal incentives from local merchants. Whereas the town has created Sustainable Manlius as a means to encourage sustainability, including the development of a comprehensive plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Manlius will accept gifts to Sustainable Manlius from town merchants in the amount not to exceed $25, which gifts can be used to encourage residents to fill out the surveys by town residents.
Do we have a second?
So we're using the Sustainable Manlius account.
To put the money into.
Okay.
And then
Or,
gift.
Well, Sustainable Manlius will
And is-
accept gift cards.
and is,
Yeah,
and looks like,
yeah, so Sustainable Manlius is going to accept gift cards that we will then use as an incentive to have the survey filled out. And those gift cards will then be distributed to survey.
So like everyone fills in a survey to potentially get a gift card.
Exactly.
why does Sustainable Manlius have to take it in?
Because
Because
you're
you
the
have
account
a-
that's allowed to
You don't have
receive
it, you have a gift account.
Yeah, we do.
And because we're a comprehensive plan with sustainability
Sustainability
elements.
Yes, I see what we're doing there, yeah.
So.
I just
Councilor
wanted to
Waters, you
make
second the
Yes,
motion?
please.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Great, so we'll move right into the comprehensive plan committee update, comprehensive plan update. So this is, here are the things that have happened since we last updated you. We've had the following activities: a mobility, transportation focus group, a stormwater study group, which is completed, multiple meetings and reviews and discussions, quarry study group, a Haudenosaunee listening session, a zoning workshop, and a planning board focus group. We designed these ways of either looking at problems, getting expertise, or educating ourselves as a community, and the focus group, study group, listening sessions, workshops. And what we've got next is that we really, this is the moment in time where we want to have even more participation. So right now, a few hundred people have been pretty involved over the last year, and we'd really like to get a few thousand people involved. And so we're hoping that with great marketing and with the support of local merchants who would offer this $25 gift card, we can encourage you to fill out our survey, which is being developed in partnership with the Maxwell School Community Link. Thank you very much to our partner there. Is it Jonah? Yeah, with our partner Jonah from the Maxwell School. And you can get those prizes. Now, we also, this winter, will have even more outreach in two important areas: arts and culture. So I was interested to hear about the Main Street grant and public art possibilities, and area businesses. So those are two areas we're going to dive into. And we're going to have in October 3 community open houses across the town. In Manlius on October 8th, in Fayetteville, October 17th, and in Manoa, October 20th and 21st at the libraries. And I was just on the town website, and I noticed that our information is on the website. Our reports are clickable from from there. So we're gonna update all the information that I'm talking about here there, including the dates, and we'll have those as Facebook events as well. We hope you'll come. You can go review information, feedback to us, take the survey.
And these 3 events are walk around events?
Yeah.
So you come when you want to and stay as long as you want to. It's not something you're sit and listen to somebody talk at you.
Bring your families, bring your friends, that care about the town. And we will have our 7th steering committee meeting this spring, and steering committee will meet again after the open houses to digest community input and to modify the draft comprehensive plan based on this input. And what's going to happen next after that is that we're going to have our public hearing after that. And then we'll have the seeker and county referral process. And then we'd have next winter, or this coming winter, again, of the year, we should have the town board, oh my God. Town board hearing and public adoption. So
You said something about a public hearing, but when was the draft?
So the draft will be part of the steering committee number 7.
yeah,
So it's
in
coming up soon.
Yes.
yeah, in the fall.
In the
So
fall.
November-ish.
Okay, great. So potentially after budget, comprehensive plan.
Yes,
Got it.
it's coming.
That sounds great.
Thank you to our steering committee members. They're a little weary and they need a little energizing. So I promised them at our,
Oh, that's right.
I
So I'll
promise.
let you do that for now.
I promised pumpkin munchkins, I think, and cider. So, but whatever it takes. Thank you to the steering committee and everyone who's been involved so far. It's all of you.
Thank you very much. Sustainable Manlius updates.
So a couple things, here's my agenda here, so I know what to do first. So, climate action or accepting recommendations for LED streetlights, and then there's a document attached. So we have been pursuing, feedback from the Sustainable Manlius Committee on replacing our decorative streetlights with LEDs, and, everyone should have received a document from Amanda Mazzoni with the recommendations. And the recommendation from the committee was that each neighborhood that's getting them replaced, that they get streetlights that most closely resemble what they currently have to maintain the integrity of the historic nature of those streetlights. So that, it doesn't even have any questions on that.
We don't need a motion. or
I didn't
anything.
think that we
We
did.
accept that recommendation, and we will be moving forward with that with our partners at the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board.
And National Grid,
And that's-
when National Grid will pay for it, so
Will we get pictures when it's completed?
I'll take pictures for
Thank
you.
you.
I'll text them to you
Thank you. I appreciate it.
and share them with the community and the town.
That's a, yeah, you can share it.
Yeah, well, I think like before and after and helping
Oh, that's a good idea.
to share some information on social media.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
one million, needs to share that.
Yes, yeah, we do have an Instagram account.
See if that,
Yep,
Don't forget.
climate action plan, update. So we received funding, through the comprehensive planning effort, actually in conjunction with them, and the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board, again, with Amanda Mazzoni to do a climate action plan. And this is really interesting because we've done some studies with the town, both to understand our carbon emissions and our energy usage as well as that of the community. So this is an opportunity to actually be moving toward not just understanding how much energy we're using, but how we can reduce that, and reduce carbon emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. And so there's a whole, I wanted to really bring this to the attention of the town board as well as the community, because there will be a lot of public outreach and engagement. And our plan at this point is to create like a brief survey, just a few questions to get a sense of what the community would be willing to do. So to educate them on what their options are, whether it be having solar energy installed at your house, energy efficiency improvements, buying an electric vehicle. But we want to get a sense from the community about what they're willing to do, because we don't want to just, as Heather said, like talk at the community, or as Sarah mentioned, like talking at the community. We want to really get a sense of what are people willing to do, so that when we make recommendations and come up with a plan, that if X number of people or whatever percentage of people in the town were to adopt these things, we could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by this percentage. So in addition to the survey, we're also planning a little bit of a roadshow where I or someone else, most likely myself, would go to churches, local groups, nonprofits, organizations, libraries, municipalities, the villages, to give a brief presentation on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how they could save money. And so it's gonna be a little bit of an undertaking. So I wanted to bring that to all of your attention. Like, it's some of the work that we've done with the planning board in the past, like they've really gone and done it. And then like Amanda's come back, like you'll remember one of our Zoom calls, like the students from ESF did that presentation. If this is gonna be much more intensive and in conjunction with the comprehensive planning. So I didn't know if you were all aware of really the breadth and depth that we would be going to, and I didn't know if you had any questions on that, so I wanted to just bring that into like the public discussion.
With the comprehensive plan doing their events in October, will your survey or Sustainable Manlius survey be ready at the same time?
I don't think it will be ready in time for some of the nearer events. Amanda has an outline and a timeline for what this might look like, and the survey committee to begin reaching out to the community members about the climate action plan brief survey could happen in October, but the climate action plan subcommittee isn't meeting until the 27th of October. So I'm talking to Amanda next week because I'm getting a little bit impatient, just like we're trying to get everyone together. So just to get the ball rolling, especially if we're trying to schedule presentations, like this is saying like March, April, we'll have a final climate action plan. Yeah. And so then we would have that at Earth Fest and in time for Earth Day.
If you want to get a QR code on a flyer or add a poster to our presentation that allows people to go right to the Sustainable Manlius website, get a sign up so they can get,
I
survey.
think getting us some email signups would be a really
Yeah.
good way to try that.
Yeah, if you don't have the survey ready, yes, sign people up for
Yeah.
the email and they'll blast it out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like
Sounds
and it could very well be like, I mean, this survey is gonna be like 3 questions. Like it's not gonna be like 100 questions.
We'll likely
survey.
get a little bit more participation.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, like, I guess no other communities have done a survey. Like, I really thought it was important that we get a sense from people what they were willing to do.
What does each person want to do that? Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
great.
because this is like, it's really meant to be a plan. I'm like, if we come with a plan and that no one's willing to do, it seems kind of futile.
Well, sometimes too, some people need guidance.
Yeah.
Like they don't know what to do. So a
Mhm.
plan can help in that sense.
Yeah,
Too. So, but
yeah.
it is always good to reach out and ask.
Yeah, and that's what the presentations that we'll do. I mean, we're not gonna do like 25 of them, but if we could do like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And to stakeholders, not like just like an open one, but like where we're going to a church and like going in the homily. You can tell I'm Catholic, and like going in and like getting up and saying like to a couple hundred people, like, this is what we're doing and this is why you should pay attention to it. I think that could be in this will be something that will be like, it's like a subset of comprehensive planning. Like, we had to have the comprehensive planning to apply for the climate action plan.
Yeah.
So it's really a subset of that. And then the last thing for Sustainable Manlius, today my daughter turned 12. So happy birthday to Aliana, who I am sure is watching this meeting live from home right now. Thank you.
So prior to the monthly report, I had spoke with Councilor Benton about this previously. I'm just looking for a resolution to approve plug-in stations online to apply for a building permit for our charging stations. We need to just sign off that we are authorizing them to submit a building proposal on our behalf.
So I'll make a motion to authorize plugin
Stations
stations online to apply for a building permit on our behalf.
Good job.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Oh, yeah, we'll have Caitlin second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Well, I thank you for that, because when I can get those charging out of my office, that would be really great.
Yeah.
Filing has been quite a challenge lately.
Sorry.
No worries, happy to store.
And it's really hard to charge your electric vehicle from John's office.
Yes. All right, so next up is the supervisor's report for August, just looking for approval.
So I make a motion to accept the supervisor's report for August 2022 as presented.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We've got minutes for September 14th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 14th.
I'll second.
Oh, no, let
All in favor?
Right?
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor, I would like to make a motion to approve abstract number 18 in the amount of $537,279.20. The winners are the usual health insurance and garbage. The highway department is apparently done with paving for now.
Fantastic. For a second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Not yet.
No?
There are two issues I have to discuss.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to go into
Well,
executive. session.
Yeah, and there are two good contract issues I need to speak with you, and it's technically not executive session, it's attorney-client privilege, but if a motion will be made after our session is over, it will be in public, we will reconvene in public and make that motion. But I don't expect this to be very long.
Are we adjourning or? are we-
Yeah, are we?
We're actually spending the public portion of the meeting to go into attorney-client privilege.
So our next meeting is the 12th of October. Correct? Okay.
And again, we will reconvene in public session
Sorry.
to adjourn at that time. And if any motions will be made, we'll be
I'm
making.
just trying to be accountable.
So, do you want to make that motion?
Aye, so moved.
Second?
William seconded.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Thank you for coming.
Motion
Thank you
carries.
for coming.
Thank you.
So just so everyone
So-
knows, the 12th
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to work with OSEBA to switch the health insurance provider administrator to OSEBA/Aetna Group so that the cost to the town retirees will be reduced and the benefits plan for those retirees will be enhanced.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Okay, any abstain? Just to point out, Counselor Bollinger did leave
Yes.
during the attorney-client privilege session. Okay, motion carries.
Are we all set? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you.